Would you share the share screen? Or let me share then.
Or I will, well, let's start with, this is the meeting of the SIG Cloud Provider, Azure Provider Subproject meeting for October 19th, 2020. And as a CNCF and Kubernetes community meeting, we should all abide by the CNCF code of conduct. And basically that sums up to be nice and respectful to each other. This is being recorded and will be posted to YouTube. I will add it to the playlist and add the link to the notes. I will add the link to the notes to the chat right now. And I guess I'll volunteer to be note taker. Let me share the notes and we'll go from there. Great, thank you for adding your name to the attendee list. I'll take notes. And Pengfei, I noticed you added a number of things to the agenda. Great. Shall we go through them one by one?
Yeah.
I'll start by opening this design doc, which I admit I have not reviewed. Do you want to give us, actually it looks like, Chi, you're the author. Do you want to give us a quick overview?
Yeah. Qi, would you like give review?
Chi, you're muted if you're trying to speak.
Let me do that.
Okay.
So this design is aimed to support multiple standard load balancer within the same cluster. We actually already support basic load balancer for multiple basic load balancer in the same cluster, but for standard load balancer, we only support one because we added all the nodes in the same cluster to the same standard load balancer back in the address pool. But there are actually some scenarios that requires multiple standard load balancers, such as customer to control the different outbound IP for different node pools. So in this case, standard load balancer, multiple standard load balancer is aimed to support this scenario. Also,
is this something other cloud providers are also doing? Or is this something unique to our cloud provider?
I think it is unique to Azure because on other cloud providers, their each single load balance service may be mapped to different load balancer, but on Azure, they are shared. They're sharing the same load balancer.
Got it.
Yeah, and also for larger clusters, there are some hard limits. For example, the ARM request body and the load balancer row number per network interface. That hard limit makes we couldn't support two larger clusters in a single load balancer. So if we split that into different load balancer, then we could support much more nodes within the same cluster.
Excellent.
Yeah. So for the user experience, we are aiming it to be exactly same with current basic load balancer. That means it also supports the annotation to select which load balance should be used for the service. And because the current the current default behavior is adding all the VMs to the single standard balancer, we want to make sure the default behavior still the same. So a new cloud provider config option would be added, and its default is false. But when it is in enabled, then different node pole would use different standard balancer. The node pole is actually mapped to either a virtual machine skill set or a virtual machine availability set, and in the future it also supports VMO.
Which is also called VM Flex, right? The new name?
Yes, VMSS Flex.
Yep. This seems very sensible. Is there anything on the surface of it? I don't see anything controversial. Is there a review that we should be prompting certain people to do?
Yes. We also asked a few internal reviews. We didn't see any big issues with our internal teams.
And are there, I mean, I presume this is being asked for specific customer scenarios. Did this get reviewed by any users?
No, but we have a few customers asking for this feature. For example, some ask from ACAS PM. So,
Got it. And what's the next step for this feature?
yeah. So for the next step is review and get it implement.
So has somebody signed up to implement it yet?
Yeah, she would implement this.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Great. And do you expect that to be something that fits into 1.20, or will it go farther out?
We prefer 120 if the time still allow us to do that.
Yeah, feature freeze just passed. So for cloud provider, it would be out of tree. So would we do this in the out of tree provider primarily, or also in tree?
We want to add it also in tree because our outer tree is actually not GE yet.
Right. So I wonder if it requires an exception to the feature freeze process.
Yeah, so for the feature, I think there's a discussion about that the in-tree cloud provider will not accept new features since 120.
Right.
Yeah, so this is 120 is actually the last version we could add a feature. After that, we could only add new features out of tree.
So I guess what we need to do is we need to ask for an exception. And so what I can help with writing a justification and working with the release management team to try to get an exception for this. Or actually just first finding out if this really requires to be listed as a new feature. I don't think it needs a cap, but I'll find out if it actually is governed by the process.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Any other things to add to that?
I think we are good for the first one.
Okay, let's look at the network API.
Yeah, this is breaking changes of new network API version. So when we update our network API version to this new version, the default behavior of availability zone would be changed a lot. So we need to determine how could we set the correct zone for load balancer public IPs. I think the easiest way for us to add that is we get a list of list of regions and support zone, and always set the zone in this regions. But then would have an issue that when some new regions support zone, this region list need to be updated, and usually this update would need a version bump in cloud provider. So that would be an issue.
So that will require a patch release for the in-tree provider, but are we also, we're doing that in code for the out-of-tree provider, or would that be from some external resource that could be updated?
We didn't update the network API yet, so we probably don't want to do that in 120. So I think this new API version would only be included in out-of-tree provider.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but for all our Azure related projects, such as the Collect API, the AKS engine would also have the same issue. So we need to check with all these projects and ensure the correct or the correct zone is set when AKS engine or Collect API provisioning the load balancer.
Is that something that you can do? Can you file issues against those projects?
There are already issues there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
I think
issues already filed. Okay, great.
Jack has already filed the issue on ACAS engine.
Great. Thanks for bringing that to my awareness, since I'm also working on both those projects. I was not aware of that issue, and I will then prioritize it. So this this network API is, okay, the August API, and we're still using an older API.
Right, we are still using the old API.
Okay. So we need to bounce the API version and figure out how to handle that, and then do it in a way that's consistent across all three projects.
Yeah, let me paste the ACAS engine issue.
Oh, you paste it directly into the meeting notes?
Okay, in the meeting notes.
Thanks.
Okay, and the next one is support public IP sharing by multiple service. So the PR has been merged in master Kubernetes and also in master cloud provider Azure. We have also added the end-to-end test. So this would be a part of 120, feature part of 120.
Excellent. And is it also getting backported to patches, or because it's a new feature, it's only going into 1.20?
Yes, it's only in 120.
And is it also in the out-of-tree provider, or do we need to file a separate issue to get it in the out-of-tree provider?
No, it would be in both in-tree and out-of-tree cloud provider.
Okay, great.
So we are already have that in master outer tree and master in tree cloud provider.
Excellent.
Okay.
And then are there doc changes associated, or forgot to check what files are in the
we
PR?
added the docs in the cloud provider Azure. Where's the link? Docs.
Looks like there were no changes to docs in the PR.
The docs should be. Let me share the link.
Okay.
The documentation has been updated in our website, Cloud Provider Azure website.
Sorry, Chi, you were breaking up. You said the documentation has been updated?
Yes, we already have merged the document, and it has been published to our document
The new
website.
doc site is great, by the way. I've heard multiple people praise it, that they have found things that they wouldn't have found otherwise, and it solved problems for them. So that's great news.
Yeah, I also added the link.
Awesome. Fantastic. This is great. Yeah, that's a big advance.
Okay. Craig, do you have any other topics want to discuss?
The only other topic I have, I guess I'm thinking about the dependencies for out of tree provider advance, and I think I noticed that the credential provider work is in progress. Is that also your understanding? But I admit I haven't checked it lately.
Yeah, so the ZenPI is actually almost ready for merge. I didn't check it this week, but in last week I have checked the PR and it's ready to merge at least from our reviews. So
Great.
a new plugin is added to Kubernetes, and also an example of ACI is added together in the pull request. So I think after that get merged, we could validate that in AKS engine and probably add some end-to-end test to validate that feature. And in the future, we would also need to port the plugin to our external repos.
Okay. So those are remaining work to be done. Okay, fantastic. So that sounds like good progress there. And that's the last missing piece, if I recall correctly, for graduating out of tree to beta.
Let me add the link here. Then PI they are not merged yet.
Was this tested with Docker Shim or with Cry Container D or both?
I don't think the end-to-end test running.
Okay, I need to look at it. So we need to verify that we tested with both.
Yeah, so from our side, if we want to test this, we need to make some changes from AKS engine to provision this setup. So it will need to enable another auth plugin from Kubernetes.
And what would it take to add that to CapZ? Is
Yeah.
CapZ ready for this?
Because
Because at some point in the coming few months, we want to start flipping the end-to-end tests from AKS engine to CapZ.
but it's still not ready yet, right?
It's very close. It's that's sort of what we're trying to figure out is this is the exact kind of change that we want to measure the differential effort for making the change to AKS engine versus the effort to add that to CapZ.
Okay, I think there are some actually now there are a lot of errors in CapZ from the current engine test.
Okay, well that'll be an area of focus for CapZ in the coming weeks. So we should resolve those issues.
Yeah.
Okay, that answers my question.
Okay.
I don't have anything else. Do you guys have anything else? Anybody have anything else to add or ask?
No more from me.
G?
No, I think.
All right, great. Well, thank you guys very much. Appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a great day.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Craig.
Hope to see
Thank
you
you.
guys in
Thank you,
person
Craig.
someday.
Bye.
Bye.